Now that I'm back from the Flinders and I've put together my 3 main videos which covered my trip through the Flinders, I'm going to do 3 additional videos. More behind the scenes about the sort of the gear and the process that I use to actually pull the trip together. So this video, number 1, it's going to be all around my bike and kind of how I've set up the bike to really be optimized for shooting video and how I stored my gear on the bike. I'll also go into my GoPro accessories and just a bit of mucking about with different GoPro mounts towards the end. So that's video 1. Video 2 is going to be more around the research, the planning, the logistics and the packing for the trip. And then the 3rd video is going to be more about my camera gear and the settings and how I use the camera gear to get the shots. I hope you enjoy it. Well, I just got back from the Flinders Ranges, and before I sort of unpack the bike, I thought I'd just do one more video and talk about how I've actually set this bike up specifically for shooting video, because there are a number of things that I've done to sort of optimize it, and I'll show you where I store all my gear and how I operate. So let's see, starting at the front, I had this touring windscreen up on the way back, and it was fantastic. I ended up doing a 700-kilometer ride in 10 hours, and I felt pretty good on the bike, so that's good. Okay, if we start from the front, I've got 2 power outlets here. So this is my 12-volt outlet, and what I put into that is something like this. So that does my compressor, but also this is a very high wattage adapter, and I charge my drone off this, and I can also charge any high wattage devices like iPads off this one as well. So and this port is switched, so when my ignition gets turned off, power gets cut to that, okay? I usually run the cable from here, and in the front of my bag, there's a nice little spot for the cable to come up through the inside, and so even when this tank bag's down, the cables run through, and all my charging happens in here. So that's the left one. The right one is a USB connector. Now this is not switched, so this provides constant power, and I love that because it means when I get to camp, I can charge all my low power devices like my iPhone, my Sena, my InReach. I can just leave them charging, and I don't worry because they're not drawing enough current to drain the battery. So that's my 2 power, and they provide, so often when I'm riding, I've got drone being charging from here, and then I might have GoPro and iPhone being charged from there. Okay, coming back, on my handlebars, I've got a ram mount, and I've got a little 1-inch sort of adapter. And then I've got the anti-vibration for the phone. And so this is usually the only time I put my phone on here now is when I'm actually shooting drone, and I usually just have that sitting there so that I can track what's going on while I'm riding. Other than that, I usually just snap off the phone and put it in my pocket. So I think that's it for the handlebars. Okay, so then coming back, I've got the Moscow Moto hood package. You can see I've got my beacon for my Skydio on the front. So this is how I control the drone while I'm flying. So I've basically got position and range controls, and I can change the skill, but usually I don't do that. I'll do that from the phone. And then I have my GoPro remote. If I am mounting any remote cameras, this allows me to control them, also change modes, things like that. So in my tank bag, so I usually have like a Leatherman knife in the side, and then here is the charger for my drone. So normally I have a USB-C cable that goes from here and it runs to that port on the dashboard. So that's charging 2 drone batteries at once. I then also have my spare GoPro, so the one that's not on my chin mount. I usually just wrap it on in
in some lens cloth, and then in the back there's my GoPro charger. So that will charge 3 batteries at once. So I'm always putting my used batteries into here, and they just charge as I ride, and then all my new batteries will sit in here, so I can sort of reach in. They're all sort of organized there. I also have a spare, that's a spare adapter for, I guess one thing to think about is redundancy. If you're on a long trip like this, what are the things that could actually take you off the grid? And if that failed, that I couldn't charge my drone unless I found power, and often I'm staying at unpowered sites. The other thing is I carry spare charging cables. Normally I put my charging cables in here. I carry a spare set of charging cables so that if my iPhone cable or my drone cable is broken, I've got a spare one. There's another GoPro battery there. So that's what sits in my tank bag. The reason I like this bag is it's about the right size. It doesn't get in my way on the Husky. It's totally waterproof, and it can basically, you can access it with just one buckle. All right, so sometimes I'll go in here even when I'm riding, and it is a case of just click, you're in, down, and pretty quick to lock as well. So I love that. That works really well for me. Coming back, okay, you can see I've got my drone mounted on the back, and I've used these elastic cables, and they're really good. So I never had one of those undo, but I also put a little safety line here. So this is my safety cable with just a little quick release shackle, so that if for some reason both of those things came out, I'm not going to lose my drone. It's got an independent, pretty secure way of getting in. What's nice about having the drone on the back, especially because I was traveling solo, is I wanted really quick access to it. So when I pull over now, I can literally just go, and there's the drone, right? And it's fast to get out. I've got 2 batteries for the drone that I can store in here when they're charged, and I can have that drone turned on and ready to launch just in seconds, and likewise to put it away, that's it. So I don't have to muck about. I deliberately set the bike up so all of my video gear, none of it is sitting in the main compartments at all. So this is all clothes, tools, cooking gear, camping gear, etc. All of my video gear sits outside. The next part is if I unclip the beaver tail, let that go back. So this is where I store my ND filters. So I've got my GoPro ND filters. I've got my drone ND filters. So I don't access them that often, but if I do, I can get to them pretty quickly. And then I on the other side here, I keep some electronics here, like an adapter, so that I can look on my iPad for my cards and just see the footage. So I do carry an iPad, and when I'm carrying the iPad, that's the only thing that's locked away. So that sits in the top of my main thing here, because I'm never accessing that while I'm riding, and I want to make sure that it stays dry and protected. So that's probably the best spot for it. But I do use the iPad for checking my footage every night, just to make sure there's no issues, no technical issues, and my footage looks good. And then the last part of my gear is actually in the backpack here. So if we look down the top where I've got my hydration pack, it's hard to do this with one hand. I have down here all my sort of GoPro brackets, my long ones. So they all sort of sit tucked down there. My sort of little tripod selfie sticks down there, etc. And then in here is so there's all my GoPro brackets and things. So I showed you those earlier. This is where I can access my cards, my brackets. So if I want to do some playing around and mounting the GoPro on the bike, I've got it there. And finally, in my jacket pocket, I usually keep a big microfiber cloth so I can easily, just while I'm riding, reach in and clean the lens. And I've been keeping my 360 stuff in here as well. So you will see that I actually played around with some more 360 stuff, and I just tend to, I'm not leaving it mounted on the camera. I'm actually just using this really simple selfie. I can actually sort of do this one-handed while I'm riding. You know, I can pop off the lens cap like that. I can turn it on with one hand, and then I can actually just bring out. So if I can bring out and shoot, and while I'm riding, I can actually just hold that Insta360 and do some 360 work. So that's my camera setup for the bike.
It's a bit of a wet old day today, so I'm going to have a rest from riding, and I'm going to just bunker down for today. The forecast looks better for the next few days. I'm going to spend some time and just play with the bike and with some of my GoPro mounts, and just sort of play around with some different mounting options. But I thought while it's rainy, I might as well take you through the GoPro gear that I carry when I'm on the bike. Okay, so if let's start with the helmet. So I use the Pro Shot mount. It Velcros on, so I can pull it on and off pretty quickly. And you'll see I've actually got an extension on there. So I've put this little extension piece on, and that's so that I can actually see the screen from my visor. And I sort of played around to find exactly the right one for me, but that angle, that distance, gives me just the height I need with this helmet. And you can see I also have an aftermarket knob on here with wide wings, so that it's very quick and easy for me to put on and off the battery changes when I've got gloves on. So that's the mount. That's called a Pro Shot. Okay, I carry all my gear in this little GoPro bag, and that just sits in my backpack so I can get to it pretty quickly. I carry lots of spare cards. Let's see if I can just hold this. So I carry quite a lot of spare media. So I've got 2 there. I've got 2 more cards in here, and I've got a whole ton of cards in here. So I don't know, it's probably about 2 terabytes of media, just because there's nothing worse than running out of storage. So storage, I think, is pretty cheap. Then I've got this RAM knuckle and joint here, and this is pretty useful. It allows me to sort of connect on pretty much anywhere on the bike. So I can connect onto forks, I can connect onto bars, I can connect onto frame, and you know, I can connect onto the back rack with the jaws. They'll sort of bite on pretty much anywhere. Okay, so it gives me a lot of flexible and pretty quick mounting for the bike. And then I've got 2 different arms, 2 different sort of extension arms here. I've got this one. It's quite a long one, and you can see this is a little aftermarket. It's quite a neat little connector. So it's very small, which means so you can spin it pretty easily. But if it's tight like it is now, you can bend it down, and you can. Let's use 2 hands. So I can just bend it down like that, and then I've got purchase, and I can undo it, spin it like that, and then when I tighten it, just bring it, and it goes into 2 different directions. So very neat little adjusters. I hate the stock GoPro adjusters. They're difficult to get tension on.
Just hate them. And I've got a smaller arm. Then I've got 3 different sort of extensions, and these are more if I want to play with my chin mount. So I've got a slightly longer metal one, I've got a curved one, and I've got a shorter one. I've then got, these are just really spares. These are GoPro tops with screw threads in the bottom, and they will screw into a little tripod that I'm actually using right now. So it lets me mount GoPro onto this little tripod I'm using. Now I've got 2 ram balls. That one's a male tripod thread. That one's a female tripod thread. And again, I need them both for doing different things. So then helmet mounts, I've got 2, really that's a spare. I've got this one which is more adjustable. And I'm actually playing a little bit more with 360 camera on this trip, and I'm finding that putting this in here, putting that one there, and then putting this out the side actually gives me quite a good angle. I'm really happy with what I've seen so far. So 2 helmet mounts, another ram ball. So this one's got the GoPro mounts on it. So there's actually a set of 3 there. So male, female, GoPro. And then this is a ball and socket joint. So if I'm hanging a camera off the side of the bike, I can actually level it. And I'll show you that in a moment. Then I have 2 different doors. This is my door from the GoPro 10, but when I have it in the media mod, I take the door off. So if I want to not use the media mod, I'll put that door on. And this door, it's an aftermarket door, and this is it's got a hole so that I can actually recharge it while it's in. And if I'm doing time lapse and I want to plug it in overnight to a battery, I'll use that door. Then I've got some stickers. I've got some spare Velcro in case I need my main chin mount comes loose. Then I've got a little spanner for GoPro. So that's it. That's my GoPro camera kit. This particular day was actually wet, and I was just mucking about with different mounts. So I thought I'd include what I was doing in the video so you can see what I was playing with and also what the shots look like. While it's quite a dramatic shot, I wouldn't actually mount the camera this low for normal adventure riding. It was just too exposed. This same with this one on the gear lever side. I think that what I discovered was that the arm's just too long, and it is a great dramatic shot of the gear change, but I certainly wouldn't ride any long adventures like that. And actually this last one, I forgot to actually try this while I was riding, but I quite like this shot. It's just off center, so it should hopefully miss a lot of the shrapnel off the back wheel. But I think it'll be quite a dramatic angle. So I am actually going to try this on one of my future rides. Anyway, I hope some of you found this useful.